Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The DoorDash LCO is back for yet another week of action. We got some banger games coming up today, and we had some big upsets last week as well. But before we jump into that, I just want to say, hey, I'm Mac. Good to see ya. I hope you're having a good Tuesday. And it's only going to get better from here. So let's have a look back at what happened last week, and we'll jump into the games here on the DoorDash LCO.
Arrow onto one. It's only going to Draku. He had the cleanse, probably the worst one of the bunch right now. They're not going to back away from the Baron just yet. It's down to 50%, getting lower and lower. The order are split. They're going to catch on towards Swaith again. Dawning Shadow goes out, locks in place members to shield the mitigation, the prevention. Swaith looking to try and spin to win and survive. A double kill once again from Kisei. They pushed forward. They went towards the four-man. He tries to go for a cheeky little skirmish, knowing full well that the Direwolves are there hunting in their jungle. That kill just happens off screen. Goodo's dead. And Nolly said enough. The Onslaught of Shadows connects, locks them in place. A battle on two different fronts right now, as Shock takes the battle up against Shinky. That's the ultimate on him, but still zaps through his HP bar. It just does not exist. A double for the Hecarim. He's now 4-1 and 6, and Claire looking to fight across the wall. Jumps into the base with the chains. Rolls them all together, and we might, at the 28-minute mark, have our first ace of the game. By the second tier, as Pentanet once again looks to try and mount an assault. Ooh, he sidesteps that, does Chaz. He jumps into the Baron pit. The Baron is low down to 2k, getting closer and closer to smite range. But the fight continues, a 1-for-1 so far. But Pabu finds himself another kill. Does removing curses, so the Katarina resets are no longer a concern. And Chaz is low. The Baron has been stolen away from him. And styled. He can't start on his opponent on this occasion. They're going to fall apart. And that may just be a delayed ace. Tell me it's not this way. Tell me it's not an X-Peke. Tell me it's not a 50-minute win here for Gravitas as they look to try and take this one down. Surely! That was the most rough game of League of Legends I have ever seen.
Safa, he's done it again. Saluting him for last week's effort. Let's see if Gravitas can have just as successful of a week going into week 3. But it's not me bringing you all the action. It's me and some beautiful men and women. And they are here. Most of them.
Whoa! Juice! Dude, have you been to the gym?
Me?
You're massive today.
Yeah, I think I've maybe just gone a little bit too close to my camera, but that's all good. It happens.
Yeah.
Should I? I can get myself lower if you like.
Oh,
there you go.
Low?
Yeah, that would make me feel more comfortable.
There we go. All on the same level now. So, other than, you know, cutting your ankles off there, Jubes, how you feeling this week?
Pretty good. I'm pretty excited from the games that we saw last week. They were pretty well rounded, and I think it actually what we saw last week has just completely spiced up the LCO.
It's been pretty crazy, and you were here to give us all the action as well for at least one of the days. Jordan, how you feeling over there, over on the far side? You know,
I'm feeling like I've got a lot of catching up to do. You know, obviously I missed last week, had some other commitments, but some crazy results and a 4-way split for first place. After 2 weeks. That's pretty crazy. I'm not really sure that's going to be maintained as we go through the rest of this week. And, you know, even Direwolves and Gravitas. I mean, I think Gravitas is looking phenomenal at the moment, especially considering, you know, obviously how things went for them last season. It's going to be a question, I guess, of whether or not they can do that on a consistent basis and if they're able to sort of manage to keep elevating themselves up the standings, or whether or not that was just 2 weeks of overperformance. I suppose that's kind of one of the big questions that we're going to have to answer this week.
I really like where the standings are right now. You know, we can have a full podium finish with every team there. You've got 4 teams in first, 2 in second, and 2 in third. So hopefully that can continue throughout the season, and everyone can be a winner, because that's what we're all here for. Now, let's move forward. Let's have a quick chat about what happened last week. So Safa, he was a bit of a god as well, you know, and coming up this week quickly before we do chat about that. Peace and Mammoth going to be here at 6 p.m. Nice match to kick things off. Let's see if Mammoth are going to be able to follow in the footsteps of Gravitas, maybe cause an upset. 7 p.m. Order and Petsnet going head-to-head. Direwolves and Legacy there at 8 p.m. And then at 9 p.m. we got Chiefs and Gravitas as well. Now, back to what I was saying just before. Safa, the legend, getting across the line right at the end for Gravitas. Do you think that we can see that continue as they're going up against Chiefs here today, Jubes?
Look, that's the match that I'm, you know, pretty excited about. Obviously, the Pentanet Order one is a big one too, but in terms of Gravitas versus the Chiefs, I think, yeah, they can play through Safa. He's shown that he's had the ability to take them over the line, carry them in those late game kind of decision makings when it comes to the split push, and probably, you know, Gravitas synonymous with the backdoor now, right? Like, how many times do they have to do it before we just label them the backdoor team?
We can do it now if you want.
All right, well,
I'm open to it. Jordan, are you open to it?
I'm open to it.
The Gravitas backdoor team.
Well, they don't go through the front door, they go through the back door. That's it.
Yeah, it's just they're your best
That's good to
friends.
know.
You know, they don't need to walk in the front door. They can just go play with your dog out the back and then come in the back door and make some afternoon tea, dinner maybe. I don't know. Would they make you dinner? Is that a backdoor thing? I don't know. Jubes, you're the backdoor expert. What's going
Am
on?
I don't think I've ever done that in my life in terms of League of Legends ability, because I'm always dead. I'm never the one that was at the Nexus, so I wouldn't have the experience. Maybe Elfish, Jarvan support.
Ah, yes. What about so Jordan?
In what world is the Jarvan support going to be a backdoor expert?
Just flag and drag over the wall and
Yeah, and then auto the Nexus with all of your AP. That's going to feel really good.
Yeah, it's so
I don't make the
so
rules.
easy.
I follow them.
Yeah. Well, let's have a quick chat as well about what the key picks are. So, Jubes, this is another specialty here for you. And this week, the key picks are...
Yeah, well, Lee Sin, the first one, being such a high pick rate, but then also the win rate is in the 60% global on patch 11.12. And it's something that we've seen, Mammoth pick up last week. And it's probably a pick I want to see them utilize again to really, put a stamp of authority on a game, get priority in a lane, really utilize that Lee Sin to influence side lanes, river fights, river contests. And it just it's strong early, but also scales really well. So I just want to see that be a priority for a lot of the teams in the LCO this week. Senna Tam Kench, one that has been banned away majority of last week. I want to see the LCO bot lanes really pick that one up. Again, stamp authority on the bot lane, has such a strong laning phase, really good scaling. And honestly, I don't think it has a bad matchup besides enchanters, but we've not really seen the prowess from many supports to be able to play those enchanters to really punish. Now, Xin Zhao's one that I was thinking about pairing with Lulu and Karma. Lulu had a 100% ban rate last week. Now, if you ever get to see, or if we ever get to see the Xin Zhao combined with the Karma or the Lulu, it becomes almost like your Lulu Cogmore, but as a jungle mid duo. Or you can put it in the top side of the map where Xin Zhao just is able to really invade whatever matchup he wants, has the Lulu or the Karma sitting behind him, and then when it comes to grouping and those team fight objectives and those fights, it's just an unlimited amount of heals and shields. And it becomes really, really hard to deal with. So these are the picks that I really want to focus on. They were banned in last week, but maybe we'll see some slip through. And if they do, I want to see them snapped up early, because these combinations and these little intricacies that we see can be very deadly on this patch, especially 11.12. I think most of them have like a 60% win rate as well. At least the Senna Tam does, the Lee Sin does. And globally, a 60% win rate is quite insane with a high presence.
Yeah, it's all these champs do have an absurdly high win rate. So that is why we've chosen them for the key picks this week. And thank you for that breakdown. It was very in-depth there, Jubes. Anything you want to touch on, Jordan, in terms of that before we move on to the next segment?
No, I mean, I just really like Senna at the moment. I think she's kind of impossible to deal with in a sense. When you've got that glacial stack, you get to sort of 60 to 80 stacks, which realistically you can do within like 15 to 20 minutes. She's just free picks if people are out of position. So very, very difficult to deal with. I think she's a very strong championship. So hoping to see her either picked a lot or banned completely. But as far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see her played a little bit, because it's one of the more enjoyable champs to watch, I think, for me at the moment.
I've also seen you play it a fair few times.
Yeah, maybe a little bit biased.
So, of course, it's like, I'd love to see a bit of Shyvana lately, and I feel like the only person that could do that for me is maybe Pabu. But we only saw that once last season, so I don't know if that's going to be coming back anytime soon. Anyway, let's move on. We're going to have a quick chat about From the Fans. If you guys at home are cooking up some good content, I've seen some good stuff out there on the Twitter sphere. So make sure you add LCO, hashtag LCO, and go follow all the socials and send in your memes, trash talk, bloody op.gg pages. We've got the op.gg expert reviewer here in the middle of your screen. So make sure you get those in, and he can roast you or, lift up your confidence and help you improve as a player. Just looking at your stats and who you pick and your KDR and all that, Exactly. So get them in, and we'll have a look throughout the show, of course, as we usually do. I have seen Jordan's biggest fan actually posting a lot, so hopefully we can get a couple of those pictures up at some point. That was a very, very big job, and I would love to see some of those later. Regardless, let's have a quick look at what the players answered. So they got asked a question: how many champions are there? Starting with S, and this is their responses.
Can you name as many champions as you can, starting with S? S. Swang, Soraka, Siva,
give up, actually. I don't even need that extra 5 seconds. Yeah, nah. Yeah. Soraka? Oh. Jeez. Silas as well. That's 2.
Soraka, Sejuani. Oh, it's not going too well. Soraka, Sejuani, Set, Syndra, Shaco.
S. Swain. Yeah. That's a blank. What? S.
S. Seraphine, Soraka, Sona, Set, Singed. Oh man, I actually don't know the rest. That sucks.
Soraka, Sona, Seraphine. Soraka, Sona. Set. God, I don't know. I'm getting mind blanked. Syndra.
2,000 years later.
Yeah,
One?
That's what I got.
1. Alright.
Soraka, Sona, Scion, Silas, Syndra, Swain. I don't know. Down.
Swain. Shaco. I'm stopped already.
Soraka, Set, Siva, Samira. Oh, I'm blanking out.
Silas. Silas. Syndra. Syndra. Silas and Syndra. First out with S. We are struggling currently. Yeah, look, I can't think of anything more than 2 champions.
Okay, S, Sibi, Samira, Soraka, Sona, Seraphine. I can't remember anyone. Maybe just 5.
5.
Yep.
So there was Samira, Sejuani, Senna, Seraphine, Set, Shaco, Shen, Shivana, Sim, Scion, Siva, Skarna, Sona, Soraka, Swain, Silas.
Whoa.
I got the last 2, Silas and Syndra at the end of the list. So like that's kind of something. That's a bit of a like combo.
The worst part is Big did beat you on that one.
Yeah.
This is rigged, man. This is why I have the champions in my screen all the time. The only reason why I forgot so many is because all the S champs are like low dopamine champs, except for Mira and Silas. Like that's the only reason why I forgot so many of them.
Cycle 4.
Do you even want to hear how many there are?
Nah.
It's probably like 7.
No, it's more.
More than 7? Okay. Oh god. Oh god. No, this is bad.
Oh, wow.
Shaco, Shen, Shivana, Sim, Scion,
Jesus.
Siva, Skarna, Sona, Soraka, Swain, Silas.
Okay, I'm mental blocked.
Siva, Skarna, Sona, Soraka.
Sheesh.
I don't want to hear it. I don't.
I don't want to hear it. I know how many there are.
Look, it's good enough. Good enough. That was a warm up though. That was a warm up.
That is that's right.
There it is.
Well, they did better than what we probably would do as well. Even though there were a few there and they're getting 1 or 2. Jordan, you reckon you could do better?
I literally did it. I got 12. No one's going
Oh.
to believe me, obviously, because
Okay,
I did it
well,
off broadcast. But,
How
you know,
about you name all of the champs starting with B? You've got 10 seconds.
Blitzcrank, Bard, Brand. That one's hard.
There's heaps. I know all of them.
Is there?
And you already failed.
Alright, wait, where's the list? Tell me the list.
The list? Oh, give me.
I feel
5
like I did good
seconds.
good start.
Nah.
Blitzcrank, Bard, Brand.
Hard brand. Blitzcrank.
There actually aren't that many B champions,
I
are
think
there?
there is.
I feel like there's a lot more S champions than there are for B.
Yeah.
Oh, there's only
75%. I got 75%.
Yeah, he got ya.
I chose
He
a
got
really
ya.
bad
He
letter.
got ya.
But-
You have to admit, he did win.
Okay,
Jordan
good-
did win that one.
Good job, Jordan. You're probably better than the players in terms of percentages.
I'll just
and
take that
that's-
one.
That's why you're here on the desk. You know, you're
That's my
bloody
one win.
full
for
of
LCO.
knowledge. Full of
Yeah.
knowledge. Anyway, we've got to get into the matchup. It is going to be Peace and Mammoth going head-to-head. And let's have a quick chat about Peace first. So, Jubes, tell me, why do we love Peace, and why have they got one loss on the board?
Well, we love Peace because the mechanical prowess, it's just a beauty to watch. I mean, Violet really does get you excited in those late game team fights and skirmishes. But the reason why we might not love them so much, and there might be some problems in Paradise for us, is because they did lose to Gravitas. Now, you have to give Gravitas a lot of credit for winning that game. However, when you look at the team with Appy, Babip, Halo, Violet, Aladoric, just to name a few, this roster was meant to be, you know, rank 1. The roster that is, you know, to quote them, going to Worlds, right? Babip joined this roster to go to Worlds. So to lose that game in the fashion that they did, it wasn't like it was an early game stomp, pencil it down to jungle ganks.
Yep.
They lost in a 50-minute banger, 50-minute belter. So, you know, there's probably a lot to prove in this game coming up against Mammoth. Maybe we would have penciled it down last week as a game that was going to be, you know, just if they survive. But I see it as a game maybe now where Mammoth can cause a little bit of an upset. But, you know, this is Peace in their finer form here in the game against the Chiefs, where they were just so good in these skirmishes. That's the one thing I've noticed too when Peace play. It is sort of close, right? At 35 minutes, at 30 minutes, they're not a team that really runs away with the game anymore like they did last split. But in those crucial team fights, they just they skill check you.
Yeah, they certainly do. Now, I did want to give a quick shout out to production for providing what we asked for last week, which was Mid-Lord standing at the back instead of the Peace logo. You know, the draft god there in the team lineup that we did get to see just before. Now, we need to talk about Mammoth as well. It's a battle of two teams here. Jordan, tell me about Mammoth and tell me why you love them.
Well, it's a bit of a rough season so far for Mammoth, isn't it? I think I love Mammoth because they're the underdogs. I'm a big fan of Goodo. His content so far has been really up there. I think he's probably one of the best players as far as that's concerned. So that's a tick in my book. But yeah, I mean, on the topic of Mammoth and how their season's gone, like obviously they're 0-4 at the moment, so there's not really too much that you can say about it. The only thing really to note is that they have had some pretty difficult matches. Obviously, they've played against Order. That's probably the quote-unquote weakest team that they've played against. They've had Pentanet. They've had, obviously, Peace today, so that's going to be a big question mark. And then also the other matches that, you know, they've worked out. I guess, in a sense, the schedule hasn't played out in the favor of Mammoth, right? They haven't played against Gravitas. They haven't played against Legacy yet. So that, I think, might be a little bit of a silver lining. There's a little bit of a saving grace. You have to look at that and say, okay, well, the teams that are sort of towards the bottom end of the standings are still yet to come, so maybe they can elevate things from here. We weren't expecting them to beat the likes of Pentanet or Direwolves or Chiefs or whatever that may be, but maybe against Gravitas, maybe against Legacy, there's a bit more of a chance for Mammoth. So I think that's probably got to be their goal for this split. You talk about Peace maybe wanting to go to Worlds. I don't think that's a realistic goal for Mammoth. They just need to try and get into playoffs. I think for me right now, I'm wanting to see Mammoth get into playoffs or at least make a solid run towards getting into playoffs, and then I think we'll be happy.
Well, I'll tell you someone that's always happy, always smiling. It's Nat. She's down on the sidelines. Let's bring her into the conversation and say, hey, Nat, how you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing well. It's a nice Tuesday, you know. There's nothing too much you can complain about. When the sun was shining, it's a little too dark now.
Yeah, you're in the Sunshine Coast anyway, right? You know, you're in the Sunshine State, at least.
That's it.
Up on the northern parts of Australia. So down on the sidelines, not too sunny down there. Looks like there's a bit of a fire brewing. Who do you have to chat to?
I'm going to be talking to the two mid laners going up against each other today. I'm going to be talking to Halo and Wei. Thank you both so much for talking to me. Halo, I want to start just a really quick, thought on your game that you guys unfortunately lost last week. I just want to hear from your point of view why you guys think that you lost that one.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough game. Gravitas are definitely probably the best out of the bottom teams, and I think we underestimated them quite a bit coming into it. So I don't know, a lot went wrong in the early game. We've brushed up on all that, and we understand what we could have done better, and hopefully those mistakes won't show up again.
What's going to be the main focus then for you guys coming up against a Mammoth that you may have learned from that last game?
Just understanding what our draft wants to do better, I think, and understanding how to close out games is like our focus for the next few weeks. So that's what we're looking to do today.
Alrighty, hopefully we can see a nice solid closeout from you guys today. But way over on Mammoth, you guys are still hunting for that first win. So what are you looking to do to, hopefully get that one today?
I mean, maybe you can cause another upset like Gravitas. That'll be pretty nice. This is probably like the match that I was most excited for, just because I want to beat Halo. I'm so tired of I'm not Halo actually. I want to beat Violet because they always play protect the president comps, and he's just a coward. And I hate it so much. I want to beat him so bad. So.
Oh, so we're going to have a lot of action on the bottom lane then. I want to quickly also ask though, why do you think Mammoth are struggling still to get a win? Is it something that's, the team's still settling?
I think we just every loss that we had, someone was having a bit of an off day. So I guess it's a matter of consistency, right? I think if we all have we're all good day, or even if we're just even okay, I think it's pretty easy to actually get wins.
Well, maybe today is going to be that day for you guys. Halo, you spoke briefly about, focusing a little bit more on the draft and understanding. Does that mean we're going to see something new coming out of the draft for you guys today, or is it still going to be a little bit stock standard?
I think week to week, we always have new things that we try out, and this next patch, 11.13, is a huge one, so we're still on 11.12, so I don't know if you'll see a lot of new stuff this week, but yeah, there's definitely some spice that we haven't shown on stage yet.
I will look forward to it. The very last question I'm going to ask both of you is that you are going to be coming up against each other in the mid lane. So do you have any words, I guess? Anything somewhat nice-ish to say to each other if you want to start, Halo?
Good luck. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, you too, man. I mean, Halo's a bro, but Violet, I need to take him down, that's for sure.
Alrighty, well, thank you both so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and good luck in the game today.
Thanks.
Big words being thrown around there. Way with the word of choice thrown out, coward for Violet. That's
he definitely came for him.
It's a big word to throw out there, considering Violet's been doing such a good job. I do understand though, with the protect the president approach. Who's our president? Who's the president of the LCO? Who do we need to protect?
You. I think it's Mac.
Me?
Yeah, I'd say Mac. I changed my answer. Sorry, Jubes.
Okay, I'll just leave. I'll just fend for myself.
Juves is like the secret agent. Juves is the bodyguard.
How
Give
about
that guy
we
some sunnies? He'd look pretty badass.
Run a campaign each as content and see who is the president of the LCO, and then we'll figure out who we need to protect. But before then, let's have a quick look at the predictions and see where we've all decided to head this week. Of course, I've given my vote to the people. So, if you want to select Mac as the president, remember, I'm listening to what you guys have to say as well for my predictions. As everyone else going for peace to the look of it, at least on the first page. Jubes, you want to tell us why?
Oh, I just think peace are favourites across the board. They probably have the advantage in lane, and I think that'll transition into a very big lead in the mid game.
Okay, and we'll go down the desk. Jordan, your thoughts? Just the same sort of thing,
Yep, I agree with Juice. I think they're going to be strong in lane, and I think they're going to get a very sick big lead in the mid game. So I'm looking forward to that.
Big.
All right, well, Nat, your turn. Do you want to repeat the same words again for me?
Almost the same, but a little bit different. I think Peace are just quite consistent. I mean, Way was pretty accurate. If everyone in Mammoth were to have an on day, I think it is very possible for them to win. They clearly know what they have to do. It's just, Peace are just always having on days, and Mammoth just haven't had that yet. So
you missed a great opportunity there, Nat, because I really thought you were lining up for it. You said you were prepared to say the exact same thing, a little bit different. I thought you were going to drop a big sick instead of a sick big. So I was a bit disappointed, actually.
Sorry. I obviously need to brush up on that content.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we jump into the match, we do already have some content from the fans. We love to see it. And it is one that we were speaking about just before. So let's have a look, and let's let you guys have a look as well. So Jordan, you've been up to some things, haven't you? Darian Tar is providing the goods.
Yeah, look, mate, I've been all over the place. I had to go back to uni, teach all the kids. I'm actually a lecturer for the esports. What do they call it?
Program.
Nah, I was looking for a degree, the esports degree. If you want an esports degree, hit me up. Slide into the DMs. I can definitely sort you out for that one.
Small price of $50,000.
Unfortunately,
Jordan's bank account.
I've dropped Simba off the cliff, which is probably not what we want. That's not too good.
Oh, yeah.
And aside from that, I've been just having a good time driving around, getting some McDonald's. You know how it is, Mac?
Yeah.
Sometimes those late night broadcasts, you get a little bit peckish, so got to sort yourself out.
Yeah, did you? So you didn't want to use DoorDash for that? I feel like that's pretty lazy.
Well, I think that's
Jordan.
probably
You should
why
use DoorDash.
that's why I'm so angry. You know, I'm like, wait, hang on, I should have just used DoorDash. Like I'm halfway through drive-through. I'm like, oh, that was a mistake.
He
You
gets
know,
it. He
I would have just DoorDashed it.
I would have parked my car in the car park and DoorDash. And just sat in the car park, got delivered to McDonald's car park.
I feel like that's another idea for content which we need to put in the wheelhouse and make work. I'm sure that could be something, maybe. Anyway, who knows? So I guess we're going into this game. They did mention potential for the champion pool to be changed up slightly. Anyone want to have any guesses as to where that's going to be? Any experimentation?
I mean, if I had to say, I probably would like to see it from Mammoth more so than from Peace. I think if you're coming into a game as an underdog, it's very difficult in some instances to play standard if you're just that far behind your opponents. I know we talked about it a little bit already, that Peace has probably got the stronger laning, so maybe you do need to throw a little bit of a curveball in here. Maybe Wei needs to pull out something like, you know, what we've seen from him in previous seasons and even previous weeks. So that, you know, maybe a Yasuo or a Talon. I know Talon didn't go very well for him last time, but it's just like the train of thought, not so much the specific champions that I'm sort of leaning towards here, is that, like, I guess maybe try and catch Peace off guard a little bit. I'm not sure how easy that's going to be when they've got the Draft Lord behind them, but hey, try and grab something.
Yeah, I'd love if we got to see that Ziggs again. I've said it every week. I'm going to keep saying it until we get to see it again, because apparently it's somehow, somewhere, some way in the meta at the moment. I haven't seen it too much in my games, but of course I'm in bad elo. Let's put it that way. So this is a whole different ballgame. Now, Nat, what about you? Any thoughts? Any champs you'd like to see in the game today?
Not necessarily champs. I mean, I'm always going to be biased towards the champs I play a lot, but I kind of want to see Violet change it up. I know I'm pretty much saying the exact opposite of what Jordan just said, but we do see a lot of similar things coming out of Violet. I guess a lot of people have kind of clued on that if they shut him down, then maybe they, you know, have a chance to beat Peace. So I'd absolutely love to see him on a different champ.
Well, I think we're about to find out. It's time for the draft. Ladies and gentlemen, put your pants on, get ready, hold your pants, make sure they're up, make sure your pants are on, make sure you're comfortable in those pants. Peace and Mammoth coming up now.
All right, Mac, I've just checked and my pants are still on, so that's good to see. What do you reckon, Juice? A bit of a change up for Violet? Maybe something like a Swain bot lane? That could be fun.
I think the 80 carry pool right now is a little bit stale in terms of what you can get away with and what you can play. So, like 80 carries are one of those champion pools right now where it's hard to get pinched. And when you do, there's like 3 options. And you pick 80 carry early, and then it's just a bit of a resident sleep ball lane at the moment in terms of what you play down there. But one thing that I think you know, we might be able to see from them, particularly being on red side, is like a Senna Tam or Senna something if they wanted to show us something. But again, I don't know if Peace are that team.
I don't know. I mean, we haven't seen Violet play Senna at all so far this season or even last season. So I think if we were going to see it pulled out, we probably would have already. And if we were in, you know, in some world where Peace wanted to pull something new out and sort of bring a bit of a curveball, I'm not sure that a game against Mammoth is where we're going to see it. I think Peace will probably come into this one feeling pretty comfortable and try not to, you know, give away too much, make sure they can just take whatever they want, get some pretty standard champs, play the game out as standard as possible, and theoretically that should be enough for them to find the win, assuming that they're coming into things on a relatively consistent level. Now, obviously, that didn't work out for them last time against Gravitas. That was a bit of a concern. But I think that, you know, obviously Peace will be looking into this one and saying, should be fairly straightforward. We should be able to clean this one up pretty easily. We do have the Cog Lulu locked in, though, for Mammoth, which is quite a strong bot lane.
Yeah, but it almost feels a little... It feels confident, right? Like, I mean, we got to remember, Frost just came off one of the best performances we've seen in LCO to date. Yes, they lost the game, but in terms of the statistics and the performance he put out, fantastic. Now, you've just locked in Lulu Kog'Maw, which in a 2v2, sure, is strong. Like, in the absolute 2v2, it's a very strong lane. But you draft that into Violet and Aladoric, where Aladoric's got hard engaged champions, that arguably his best. You got Violet, arguably the most aggressive AD carry in the league. And then you've got Babip, who's the jungler pathing towards bot side. It's almost saying it's free real estate. Just camp the Lulu and the Kog'Maw, and they're going to be a null factor. So I'm interested to see how they're going to, you know, operate this Lulu cog. It's going to be tough for them, but if they can get out of lane, can get a lead, this is the composition that you really do just start to run away with the game and fast.
Well, Peace banning away Braum, so they're still expecting that there could be some flex potential out from that Lulu. Obviously, could go up to top. Well, actually, no, now that I look at the night, probably couldn't. Probably could go in mid or support. So they're expecting, obviously, that Protect the Cogmore composition to come out. They just don't want to deal with the Braum. I wonder what the next ban will be here from Peace. That'll give us probably another indication. Volley Bear, I guess...
Early game pressure, yeah.
Obviously worrying about the top lane still, and the mid lane, and the jungle, and lots of questions, right, with the Mammoth team composition still, with the fact that there is that flexibility. And I sort of think there's that same kind of question for the Peace roster. I mean, does the set go up into top? Can the set be support? Is Viego jungle? Is Rumble jungle?
Yeah.
Not really sure just yet.
Well, the beauty about set is that it can be support, mid, or top. And if we watch the LCK, set in solo lane was just finding solo kills from even a level down. I think Set is one of those champions that got nerfed quite a bit, but is now in a position that where he's fairly overtuned. Like, I think for what he offers in team fights, the base damage and the itemization, Set is just in a very, very, very strong position. So when you look at Peace's composition, like you touched on, there's just flexes everywhere. Right? I mean, the Viego, the Rumble, and the Set can all trade lanes at the moment.
All right, well, we've got the Diana in for Mammoth here, which one would assume will be headed into the jungle. Sets up nicely for a little bit of AP into that roster, which was definitely needed, especially considering the block-in for Lucian. So, a couple of, you know, I say targets, I don't necessarily mean targets, but for the Lulu, you know, if the Cogmore goes down, you still got the Lucian there that you can sort of enable a little bit, and vice versa. If Lucian goes down, Cogmore's going to be there. Obviously, you'll be prioritizing that Cogmore in most instances, but it's nice to have that fallback, if need be. And as for Peace, well, the Jarvan would have been an interesting float, because that could have, again, gone into any number of lanes, considering especially Aladoric was a Jarvan support player previous seasons. But we do get the Nautilus, so we pretty much lock in the bot lane. As to where the other three champions are going, that still remains to be seen. No swaps just yet, though.
It's actually a solid draft across the board, right? When you look at Mammoth's composition, you see the Lulu, you think, okay, like you've already won draft having the Lulu on your side, but it's you know, it's paired with the Cogmore. Then they have the AD mid laner with the AP jungler to kind of, you know, disperse that damage, right? It's not going to just be heavy AD heavy or AP heavy. And Diana is just, I think, maybe the most broken champ in the game right now, in terms of what she offers, in terms of team comps, in terms of engaging fights, in terms of just the damage she can put out. And then Peace kind of just counteract that. Peace counteract that with the hard engage. They got hard engage everywhere. And they got hard engage from just an R button from Rumble. They got the set, which is interesting that Halo's playing it. Probably like something we're not used to seeing from him, right? He's like your traditional control mage player, the guy that you know, 10 CS per minute and just comes to team fights and he's going to do a bunch of damage. But now he's actually on like the playmaker. He's on the champion that needs to facilitate. And it's probably what we haven't seen from a Peace outfit. I don't think we've seen Halo be the one that says, yes, I'm the go button. I'm going to start this. Everyone follow me. Because when you look at Rumble, it's kind of secondary. Can't go first. And Babip, you know, is what they've quoted as the voice, as the shot caller, as the leader in game. So this is almost like a different dynamic this draft for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I think from the perspective of Peace, they'll obviously be wanting to look towards that bot lane to try and make sure that Frost can't get too far ahead. I know obviously you were a jungler in the past, Juice, but is that something that you'd be sort of looking towards? Is it easy to set yourself up for, you know, some ganks in the bot lane if you're the Rumble here, or are you sort of looking more so towards the likes of Set and Viego? I know there's sort of CC in all three of these lanes, so theoretically there's a lot of options open for Babip right now.
Yeah, Babip, honestly, with this draft, is going to have a field day. Can play really either side of the map. I would suggest maybe leaving the Nara alone, because again, you don't want to leave Cogmore and Lulu to their own devices. Whilst the Violet and Aladoric are very good in their 2v2, you know, if those hooks don't land for whatever reason, you know, let's say Frost and Shinky just, you know, absolutely smurf the 2v2, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'd imagine Babip's going to spend a lot of his time around mid to bot side of the map, because again, just to reiterate, Cog Lulu, arguably one of the strongest 2v2s in the game when left isolated, left on their own. So yeah, I imagine Babip is going to be playing to that side of the map. And what he needs to do though, is he needs to free Halo up. Because Wei, in theory, on the Lucian is going to have priority on Halo, but if Babip can just dip into mid lane, just soft gank, not even commit for a kill, but get priority so that Halo can then walk bot side. There's going to be 4-man dives on the bot lane all game.
Yeah, I wonder, are we going to get TPs through? I didn't quite sort of catch them in the lobby. The double TP coming through from Appy and Halo by the looks of things, I'd imagine, and we probably have the same on the side of Mammoth. It's going to be quite a brawly game, I feel like, here from Peace. That's kind of what their objective is going to be. Might not necessarily be quite the same case for the Mammoth roster. Obviously, Lucian, he can go into the side lanes and look to sort of do a bit of split pushing, see if he can find any 1v1s. But even then, you kind of look at the roster of Peace and you say, well, who can he realistically 1v1 on a consistent basis? Maybe he can kite Appy, maybe he can kite Halo, but that's going to be always a little bit difficult and a sort of more of a skill matchup kind of a thing when you're a Lucian, which has relatively low attack range, and whether we see Halo get ahead or whether we see Appy get ahead, that makes life a bit more difficult for Wei. Like I said, though, earlier on, I'm actually sort of looking forward to seeing Wei playing another one of these quote-unquote playmaking champions. I feel like Lucian is one that you can kind of take the game away on, and we've sort of seen that from him in the past. I do think for Mammoth, Wei has been one of the stronger points. So get him on a champion where he can really start to try and snowball his lane and sort of see what he can do in that respect. The only question I suppose I have there is that obviously Halo does play a little bit of Lucian as well, so he'll be quite aware of what needs to happen and probably what he needs to avoid in order to shut that Lucian down, because ultimately if you don't get ahead on the Lucian mid, is it worth the pick?
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I was going to say that concerns me, is that whilst Wei has been arguably one of their better players, Mammoth have hiccuped along the way, right? And even in games that they've performed very well in, there's been some hiccups. And like you touched on, if you fall behind on the Lucian, like if you're not playing the lane to a T, playing the lane perfectly, and at the very least maintaining a CS lead, then you do kind of find yourself rendered a little useless when it comes to like those mid-game fights. Whereas you look at what Halo's playing, he can fall down 30 CS, like in a lane. He can fall 20 to 30 CS down, still going to do what Set does, right? And that's the haymaker, the face break, whatever break you want to call it, Set's just going to break heads. And that's ultimately what's going to happen. So it might be like the evolution of Wei. Are we going to see him play this disciplined game where he's actually just going to, you play around jungle pressure correctly, he's going to use his priority to make Babip's life hard? Because whilst we said Babip's going to spend majority of his time ensuring Halo can get some priority to roam, the other side of the coin is that Wei's going to have priority, so what can he do to render Babip useless? Like, what vision can he get down? What roams can he make? Can he get Guro a lead by contesting those scuttle crabs? Is it a double scuttle angle early?
Well, so many questions, Juves, and hopefully we can have a bit of a chat to the man with all the answers. Jalal from Mammoth is ready for his interview. And Jalal, I guess I'll start off with first, how you doing? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I like this comp we've drafted, and... Oh, can I keep going?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we knew what they wanted to pick in the first time. We had a good idea on what we wanted and what we've scrimmed with, and this is something that we've practiced a lot.
Okay, and I guess, to touch on that draft, since we're on that topic, Wei in the mid lane, I'm sure you heard us just discussing there on the Lucian. Was there any sort of discussions internally during that draft process, or maybe in the lead up to it as well, around if we are going to get this Cog Lulu down in bot, which certainly seemed to be a priority, do we look towards having, maybe a Karma in the mid or the Lulu as a flex? Obviously, we saw the piece Brawn ban coming through in the second phase as well. So, could Lulu have been flexed into mid and we would have seen then obviously a different support for Shinky? Or was it always kind of going to be just the Cog Lulu bot lane and then everyone else was sort of doing their own thing?
I feel like if we had enough pro mid and we had enough jungle mid pressure, that no matter what happens, that we can win our bot side of the map. We can live on an island and it can do its work. Yeah.
Be interesting to see how that one does pan out. Now, on the topic of peace, obviously your opponents for today maybe coming in a little bit more susceptible than they might have otherwise looked. That loss to Gravitas, does that sort of raise the confidence levels for yourselves? You look at that and say, okay, that's something that we might be able to emulate today?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Upsetting with both Grav and Mammoth would be so nice against peace. Yeah.
Definitely would cause, I think, a bit of a problem for their season. But towards your season as well, obviously last week you had that interview with Skimmy. You sort of mentioned that one of the goals for the team was to win more games, which I think is fair enough. It's probably a good goal to have. But Was there anyone in particular that you were sort of looking at there? I know that it's been a difficult start for Mammoth in terms of the teams that you've had to play against, right? You've played against some of the top teams in the region so far, but you know, as we go through the rest of this week and obviously next week, you still have the likes of Legacy and Gravitas. So do you think, you know, the 0-4 scoreline start is not necessarily indicative of maybe where Mammoth sits?
Yeah, I think it's definitely like been a tough start, but we can definitely win future games coming up as well. Next few weeks being a little bit easier for us.
Yeah, indeed. All right. Well, we'll wish you the best of luck in doing so. I think we'll leave it there. Jalal, thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Jubes. A little bit of action down in the bot lane, and as expected, Peace are heading straight down there, wanting to shut that Cogmore down, and they've done a reasonable job of, you know, maybe not necessarily shutting the Cogmore down, because they don't get the kill onto the Cogs, but they do at least manage to force the Lulu out.
And that's just such a big bailout game, because the lane was going so well for Frost and Chinky, and it's a sin. How they died there is a sin, right? You know, it's maybe what they thought was going to be a Rumble full clear, but they knew he was pathing towards bot side of the map, and they had Gudo mirroring the same path Babip did, but Babip found that window to find that gank. And now the bot lane is in dire straits because there's no summoner spells into a Nautilus lane. You can bet your bottom dollar that Babip's going to come back, and we'll have to wait and see what happens here.
He's already back there. It'll be a bit more difficult for Aladoric to get the engage here because he doesn't have flash, so he won't be able to close that gap. It seems like Mammoth suspects something is up, but this is probably the biggest sin in the game. Frost's, he will actually be able to turn that back on its head. Aladoric and Violet were not too close and so could not render assistance, but face checking that bush could have gone very poorly.
And you know what's crazy? The time you were doing that interview, I had big compliments from Mammoth, right? And then before the interview ends, it turns into a sin. Because all I was going to say was, it's really heads-up play from Mammoth that Gudo started blue buff, pathing towards his bot lane, keeping them safe. They were laning extremely well, and then my conversation just changes tune because ultimately what happens with that death. And their bot lane's frozen now, and we're seeing them suffer already. Like, look at that CS deficit. You know, it's already down to 12 CS. Lane's still in a very good spot for the side of Peace, so have to keep our eye on this bot lane and how it transpires.
Yeah, one silver lining, though, for Mammoth is despite the fact that that bot lane has gotten a little bit behind, obviously Babik has been trying to spend a bit of time ganking, and that's given Gudo the opportunity to get a little bit ahead in terms of his clear. 40 CS to the 25. He's up to level 5 already. Babip obviously still level 4. And with Diana being quite an ulti-centric champion, it's quite nice to actually try to get to that level 6 as quickly as possible. Now, he'll sort of show some presence down towards bot, but you have to imagine Peace are feeling relatively comfortable here. They've got the ward in the river. They would be able to spot Gudo out before he could do a whole lot, and so he'll just move his way back over to the Krugs. So I'm kind of happy with what I'm seeing here from Gudo. I'd like to see what he can do when he gets to level 6. I think that's going to be the big question mark, you know, whether or not this power farm, in a sense, is actually going to prove fruitful or not, and whether or not he can find that window where he's 6 and Babip is not.
Yeah, it's just a level 6 power farm. Both junglers, to be honest, want to do the exact same thing. However, Babip was just gifted a free opportunity, right, and he just took it. In saying that, Gudo is probably going to hit level 6 first, depending on, especially on who gets this top Scuttle Crab. But a Dragon being started up here.
That is an interesting choice. I suppose there is a lot of priority down in the bot lane for Peace. So they'll be able to rotate their way up. And we don't have too much recourse, especially considering Wei is kind of shoved under tower. He's also got really not a whole lot of mana to speak to. So it's actually the perfect timing for a Dragon for Peace. There is realistically no threat here from Mammoth at all. Despite the fact you look at it and you say, okay, well, all of the laners are up, all the laners are relatively healthy. There just wasn't the avenue of attack for Mammoth, and the jungler back in base as well probably didn't help at all.
Yeah, and I love this from Peace. You see on the way pings to this Scuttle Crab, and you know it's Aladoric, the one that's pinging it, right? This is how much they value Babip, especially when he's on these types of champions, is they want to get there and contest Crab and contest objective. Now, Gudo was just really ahead of the curve in terms of his pathing. Like, he was just there waiting for the spawn. And they have very good vision topside, but, I mean, it's just a good way to see how heavily Peace emphasize their jungler.
Which is contrary to what we saw from them last split.
Yeah.
You know, it was very, very Violet-centric, so interesting to have that statistic brought up. He's definitely still been quite the solid prospect for the Peace roster, 7.5 to 2 KD. You know, an average of 7 assists as well. So he's I mean, I guess at this point you probably still look to him as one of the top 80 carries in the region. I don't think that would be an unfair statement at all. Maybe he is the top 80 carry in the region at the moment, but it certainly isn't quite as Violet-centric from Peace as what we saw from the previous split, which I think is probably a good thing. You know, you do sort of fall into the trap sometimes of becoming a little bit too one-dimensional if you're putting all your eggs in one basket. And Babip certainly has been a welcome addition to the Peace roster, way under a little bit of pressure, but the culling does manage to put a lot of damage in, and Goodo is now level 6. Arriving at the perfect time, says thanks very much. That's a double kill for the Diana. And I suppose the fruits of the labor are realized.
Yeah, and these are the two guys we wanted to keep our eyes on, right? Goodo and Wei. Wei has the champion that's going to really enable these skirmishes, and Goodo hit that level 6 early. Very good pathing from him, and I think he's honestly played this game to a T, right? Yeah, it has been a full clear, a bit of a resident sleeper path from the Diana, but hey, that's the way the meta is at the moment, and you know, Peace are just in a little bit of dire straits, right? When it comes to this mid jungle 2v2, it's going to be so key to winning this game, because we did hear the coach interview at the start of the game, and he said they want mid lane and jungle priority so they can path the bot side and protect this bot lane. And whilst they were being proxied for a little bit there due to level 6 being picked up from Violet, now the Peace bot lane are going to have to start to take this mid jungle 2v2 into consideration now.
And it's compounded upon by the fact as well that there was a Dark Seal investment from Goodo pretty early on in the piece, so he's already got 4 stacks on that too, and that can really start to get it pretty out of hand, especially when it comes to a Diana where if you're getting kills on cooldown with your ult, you do start to snowball pretty astronomically. Down in the bot lane, Frost's still level 5. He obviously level 6 by being able to stay in the lane initially when Frost's was sort of hanging around having a reset and stuff. But they're both level 6 now, so that's fine.
You know what the beauty about this comp is that Mammoth have? Is like, Cogmore's behind, right? Like, there's no sugarcoating it. This is a pretty significant deficit, you know? It's 20 CS, it's an assist. It's probably a fair bit of the gold as well. I might hold that thought, though.
Yeah, Alodoric should be getting the easiest hook of his life. The knock up there as well. It's not looking too crash hot here for Mammoth. Wild Growth was invested, and it'll be just about enough to keep Frost alive. Violet, that's a bit of an overcommitment. Teleports coming down on both sides. Is there a punish from Mammoth? Turns out, no! There was no Mega Gnar for Nectar. Eventually, Goodo does get into the back lines, and finally the turn does come through. Mammoth making it happen, and I don't know what that was from Peace, whether it was miscommunication, overzealousness, or anything, but that was not good.
I think it's too early to say tilt, Elfish, but I mean, Alodoric hooked Cogmore out of the Rumble Equalizer, which then caused the flashes to come on through and the overcommit. So it is maybe just a little bit of miscommunication, but whatever Goodo had for breakfast, sign me up for when I play some solo queue, because watch the mechanics from Goodo here, right? Oh, we'll see the replay start a little bit earlier than that. It's just a very good disengage, and this is why Lulu Cog are so good in the 2v2, right? It takes so much to kill them. Nectar keeping his eyes on the bot side of the map. Now watch Diana ultimate, right? Gets the E reset onto the Nautilus, pops the ult, gets the second charge of the ultimate onto Violet. So it's just really clean Diana gaming, and Goodo, again, that player to watch, and he's just been the shining light for this Mammoth team. Super excited to see this one. And one point I wanted to touch on before that even happened, Elfish, was this composition from Mammoth. If Cogmore falls behind with the Lulu, you still have Diana that's almost like a hyper carry. And the fact that this Diana is ahead, you almost negate the deficit that the Cogmore is in and almost bridge the gap for Frost.
I mean, you say that, but even then, like, okay, that's definitely relevant, but the fact that Cogmore exists in itself is still just a ticking time bomb. You can put the Cogmore behind as much as you like, but if the Cogmore gets to 25 minutes to 30 minutes, gets a couple of items, he's still going to be doing a lot of damage, and he's still going to be really difficult to deal with, especially when paired with that Lulu. So we've got another 3-man contest down in bot, but look who's here. Goodo is back, and a fantastic ultimate right down on top of all 3. That is massive. Mammoth turn it back on its head once again, and that is 10 Dark Seal stacks all ready for Goodo. He's got the Hex Tech Rocket Belt finished off, and he's got a ton of cash in the back pocket as well.
There's not much to analyze here, so what I'm going to say is that regardless of result, Goodo has delivered. He is the player that has delivered so far, right? In terms of how he's played this game, the pathing, and honestly, the way that he's read Babip and what Peace wants to do in this game has just been astounding. Like, we've seen him kind of improve week upon week game upon game rather, and now it just feels like he's hit his final form. You know, he's got himself on this Diana. You know, Mammoth have drafted what, you know, we were saying a very good composition, one that we've wanted to see for them for the last few games, and they're really just executing because, again, all they've done is take stock of Peace's champion. When you look at their champions and how they operate, like, what do they want to do this game? Of course they want to play to their Nautilus lane. They need to. Otherwise, if you just leave the scaling in a 2v2 in isolation, they're in a bit of trouble. And it feels like Gudo's just read that, and he's just playing off that to a T.
It's completely backfired for Peace, hasn't it? No, none of these kills have gone onto the Cogmore, but even still, he's got 5 assists. He's starting to get rolling a little bit here as well. So, too much of a recourse, I'd imagine, for Peace at this point in time. I think they need to just really try and slow this game down a little bit, which might actually end up playing into the hands of Mammoth because they scale pretty well with that Cogmore regardless. He's still being zoned pretty crazily, but I mean, do you care at this point? I think you're quite happy.
I mean, at this point in comms, it's literally just don't die bot lane. You can go down 30 CS bot lane. It's all good. The Diana is just a force to be reckoned with, and honestly, is going to probably one-shot someone with the ultimate. And I guess the one thing that we've been sleeping on a little bit for the last 5 minutes is that Wei's been uninterrupted, and that was a very big talking point for us. This Lucian needs to have 0 deaths, 0 mistakes, and at a minimum, have a slight CSD. But he's done one better. He's got a few kills to his name, a couple assists, a CS lead, and picked up the Gale Force.
Yeah, it definitely has been a very bot lane-centric game for the most part. We haven't really spoken at all about mid, and even less about top. I mean, again, up towards top, it's been, well, are they TPing in the bot lane? If not, well, okay, I guess they're just farming. And so far, that's pretty much been the case. Obviously, Nectar's been getting the better of it. Here's the Gnar. He's also gotten a little bit more of a successful bot lane teleport off. Overall, in every single lane, Peace is behind. In the jungle, they're behind incredibly far. And that's not something that we're used to seeing from Peace. I think definitely last split they were sort of almost infamous for winning their lane and then not quite being able to convert that into a win, particularly against teams like Pentanet. But now, this split, things have sort of taken a little bit of a slower turn in terms of the laning phase in the early game, and they're having to look towards what else is going on. And again, look where Gudo is. As soon as the engage comes through from Aladoric, Gudo is there, ready and waiting. Now Aladoric goes gold and provides time for the teleport to come through, but Gudo is just so big. Unfortunately, he's gone a little bit too deep, and he's fed 800 gold back over to Violet, which could be a turning point. Even still, though, Juves, up in the top lane, Nectar didn't have TP. He can't teleport down, but he does get the turret. So, advantages going backwards and forwards all over the place.
Gudo's laughing in the player cams there, right? He's having a good time, but that is dangerous. That is very dangerous territory because, again, Violet has been the player that's brought Peace back from the brink so many times, and he's literally just got 1,000 gold deposit into his bank account. So you have to be a little bit careful if you're Gudo, you know, giving away those bounties. And he was there again, right? He read it. It wasn't like it was the wrong play, maybe just misexecution. It was a very good stopwatch as well coming out. So yeah, we have to keep our eye on Violet now, right? He's the man with the gold on the team. And
well, bot lane turret having gone down gives a little bit of freedom for Aladoric to start to roam a little bit. He can leave Violet down there in bot. We'll take a look at this replay.
So yeah, it's such a good stopwatch, and I thought there, that chunk of damage, forcing the heal out of Violet, I mean, that's how strong the Diana is, but it was ultimately the TP that separate Frost and Shinky from following Gudo up there. You know, if they were able to match that TP or even stop it, potentially we're talking about Mammoth with a, you know, 5-6k gold lead. However, Halo getting involved finally on this set, you know, whilst it wasn't a kill participation to his name, it was enough to zone and let Violet pick up that 1k shutdown.
On the Rift Herald right now, Bab is very close by, but I'm not sure that he's going to be able to check it in time. There was a ward in the Pixel Bush, but overall, no contest coming through from Peace. And I mean, I suppose it's a small little speed bump for Mammoth, but the storyline really doesn't change a whole lot, right? They're still very, very far ahead on all aspects. You have given Violet a big cash injection, but this should definitely still be Mammoth's game to lose. Flashed over the wall from Aladoric.
Yeah, and you know, the thing that concerns me though, Elfish, is that speed humps can turn into holes in the road very quickly when you versus a good team. So, yep, and that's and that might be one of them, right? You know, unnecessary death there, dragon spawning. So, look like it's going to be the second dragon picked up here for Peace, but
well, might actually have to delay a little bit because the Rift Herald has been called down in mid. It won't be enough to take the tower. but it gives Peace some pause for thought, and now 15 seconds away from respawning, Wei starts to become a potential factor. He does have teleport available. I think in this point, Mammoth are probably happy to give up that Cloud Drake and try to take out the tower in mid. That would be a reasonable trade given the circumstances. They get something out of it, and it is only the second dragon for Peace, so it's not a huge amount of pressure, especially considering it is a Cloud Drake after all. Looks like Nectar wants to get aggressive here. Mega Gnar and the Gnar ultimate invested onto Halo, who is going to be booking it, but where can you really go right now? Set's supposed to run at people, not away from them, and I dare say he's not going to be getting out of here alive. The rock connects, slows him down. Frost should be gifted this kill if possible, and will be. There was never going to be enough damage from Halo there, even despite getting the Haymaker down.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, they picked up another kill onto the Kog'Maw. Haven't really lost much in return, rather. You know, they got the mid lane turret, and what did they trade? They traded a Cloud Drake. I mean, you'd have to say that is advantage Mammoth. And again, with a composition that we didn't really expect them to win early. When you think of the set, the Rumble, and the Nautilus, you expect that they're going to be winning the early skirmishes, they're going to be winning the early game. But we're at a position now where Mammoth have just sat on this gold lead, and it does them justice, right? Because Kog'Maw is going to get stronger, Lulu's going to get stronger, everyone on their composition is getting stronger. So you feel like the pressure is on Peace to make something happen.
Australia is now having been completed by the Lulu.
Yep.
A lot more kiting potential, and even to an extent chase potential. Well, if you want to set Kudo up.
You know, I think that's just a very big talking point, right? And often can just be skimmed over and very underrated. That item is just going to really enable everyone to get off the Rumble Equalizer, right? Like, and you have to take stock of what their composition does. Like, Peace need to land a very good Equalizer. And if the Lulu's able to pop that, as well as give the speed boost to either the Kog'Maw or the Lucian, I mean, it negates a lot of Babib's damage and potentially just sets up for a fight without the Rumble Equalizer. So, you know, taking stock in that, next fight, itemization into account with the Zhonya's being picked up on Diana, it looks like it's going to be a Mammoth win, you know, if they do play in a traditional front-back sense.
Bit of an ARAM going on.
Yeah.
Everyone's vested in the mid lane at the moment. We do see that shove starting to occur up in top, so Halo's pushed the creeps under the tower. It's going to prompt the rotation in from Wei. The rest of Peace are rotating out to their side lanes as well, leaving Violet and Aldoric in mid to clear that wave. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slower couple of minutes here. Obviously no objectives to really contest. Nar was spotted on a control ward.
And this is what Mammoth don't want to do. And so they're doing the correct thing now, but over-rotating when you're ahead against a good team can often at times not set you up for success like you would otherwise have. So you saw there, like, Wei's walking down. He's getting vision now, so that's fine because Lulu's resetting. But you don't need 3 or 4 members mid. Like, you're strong enough. You just need to be confident that you know what you're doing and you can trust people to not get caught. A lot of the times in teams that, you know, haven't won a game, they'll over-rotate, they'll try compensate, and they'll lose minions to turrets, and they'll ultimately end up falling down in EXP and CS. Like, we've already seen Halo, you know, he's caught up 20 CS. So Mammoth just need to kind of keep their heads. They're able to sit inside lanes, they're able to pick up farm, and when it's the right time to collapse, when it's the right time to get vision, they can do so. But again, you don't need to compensate, you just need to trust one another and trust that you're in a good position.
Good ward coverage going down right now for Peace around the Baron pit, but a bit too early in the discussion for a Baron. If it was a Rift Herald, you'd probably think, all right, now's not too bad of a time with all that ward coverage. Never mind for what's happening up there. A little bit of an exchange down in the bottom lane. Not a whole lot there. Looks like we want to see some aggression from Frost. He's feeling confident. Does cop the wild growth. Aladoric nowhere to go. And that is the strength of the Kog'Maw and the Lulu. It's so difficult to turn on when wild growth is available, when heal is available, when barrier is available. And the shield from Lulu. Like, it's just incredible amounts of sustain in a fight.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of, I guess, why we saw Lulu being 100% banned last week. Now, this is dangerous, right? Even though Aladoric is dead, starting up a Baron Nashor versus a Rumble is always dangerous territory, so they've decided to opt out of that one.
Dragon's going to be spawning in 40 seconds, and this one will be a good opportunity for Mammoth to contest. They'll be feeling strong right now. Still 5-1 and 3 for Kudo. Kog'Maw starting to come online, has got the 2 items. We haven't seen the pick onto Wei, so that was the big talking point on the last Dragon. It was a freebie really for Peace. There was the trade for the mid tower, But this will definitely be one that Mammoth is looking to contest. They have the top laner down towards the bottom side of the map. Teleport is available for Nectar, but he's just going to stay with the team to make sure that he can be that front line from the outset.
If there's one team fight that Peace are going to win, it's going to be this next Dragon fight, right? Hogmore has no summoners, and you best believe they've timed that. Now, with the composition Peace have built, they should be able to get on top of this Hogmore and ultimately swing the game back in their favor, because, again, if they lose this next team fight, we're already at a 4 or 5k deficit, and I don't imagine they want to give this Dragon for free.
They're going to. Halo up in the top lane, would have had to have teleported down. He is
Here we go.
actually going to start to channel that. Good old nice dodge on the hook. And a very good Gnar ulti from Nectar is going to keep Halo under the pump a little bit. There's a full commitment onto the Gnar, and they do just about have enough damage to get rid of him. It does prompt the flash through from Violet, though, so that'll be a summoner spell to keep an eye on. See whether or not that becomes impactful. Halo also having a flash. A lot of resources invested in getting that one kill. What does Peace actually get out of it? They lost the Dragon already. They look towards the Baron, which is a risky choice considering there's 20 seconds on that reset from Nectar. He can teleport back in, so if there is a little bit of delay here, problems.
They are able to tank this one up quite well, though. They do have Halo on that set. It's already down to half.
9 seconds on Nectar. Goodo looking for the ulti, but he's been locked up. Good start. That's great for Peace. What a hook coming through from Aladoric, and now you start to see the turn in effect. Cogmore deleted. Oh, that was a little bit of a soft death, unfortunately, for Babbitt, but I guess he didn't have a Zhonya's. Did not.
And no flash, no Zhonya's. Just dying to the Cogmore passive. In terms of result, though, like, the gold swing has gone towards Peace a little bit, but, you know, that's best case scenario, right? They lose 3 members overall if you consider Nectar that fell down earlier, and they picked up 1 on the return, so just a 2 kill really deficit. They didn't lose the Baron. They're still in a good position, and summoner spells, as we get the replay, again, it's just really good play from Aladoric. You know, they changed CC Guro. He wasn't able to use the Zhonya's, the flash, even the ultimate, and so they're playing this team fight with really 2 members down.
Yep.
You know, it's just a 3v5, and they still were able to trade one back, so we can kind of see where Mammoth are at with their composition. It ultimately just comes down to execution, and Peace are really showing us that despite the deficit, they're still able to find those windows, those opportunities, and it's going to be off the back of Aladoric on this Nautilus. He's going to be crucial to the Peace's success in this game.
I think is one important thing to note here is that Guro has actually got the Zhonya's completed, and he also has a stopwatch.
Yeah.
So he's got double the stopwatch ability, and he definitely wants to go deep and go hard. He's going to really be in the thick of things in those fights. That could actually catch Peace off guard. You know, you always talk about the tab check, and I think most people are going to be expecting the Zhonya's to come through from the Diana at this point, but are you expecting 2 in the same team fight? Probably not.
Now, what I want to see is I want to see what Mammoth do from this point on, because it kind of gets into a lull state, right? There's no turrets to take anymore because you're not going to be able to be that deep in a lane. There's going to be no dragon to take for a while, and Spidey sensors?
Don't walk into that five bush right now.
Surely not.
No way.
Yeah, so I wanted to see what Mammoth do, because they can force this Baron. Not in a sense where I want them to start it and tank a lot of bit of damage, but I just want them to clear the vision, right? You know, they know there's a ward in there. I want them to keep Peace guessing and force, you know, Peace to make a mistake. Are they going to overstep? Are they going to overreach for a ward on top of that Baron buff? You know, burn their blue trinkets, but make them make decisions. If you just trade farm in side lanes and wait for summoner spells to come back up on Violet, on Babip, then Peace are happy with that. You know, as Mammoth, with this lead, with the tempo and the advantage that they're getting through the priority in the side lanes, I'd love to see them just really commit to denying vision in the topside river and the Baron pit. Again, though, it seems like they're a little bit lost, right? You know, maybe not used to being in this position, especially with this composition this early into the game.
I think it's difficult for Mammoth to feel comfortable walking around the map as well. You know, there is a lot of big potential on that Peace roster. If there's a Nautilus hiding in a bush, it's an instant perfect engage. And so much follow-up with the set in the Viego as well as the Equalizer coming through from the Rumble. So do need to be very careful about what they're walking through and where they're going. In the meanwhile, I mean, obviously Wei is able to soak a lot of farm up on top. There's potential fight brewing around the Wraith camp, but nothing comes of it as Peace start to work their way back to safety.
But But this is exactly what I was talking about, right? Like, contest vision. Don't make it easy for them. You know, force a reset out of Halo. Make him lose farm in the side lane, right? Like, look at Top Wave. Top Wave is slow pushing towards Mammoth, I believe. And you know, they're not able to do anything about it, so...
Well, they're going to start the Baron off here. But you did want to see a little bit of a dance around this area of the map, and it's going down pretty quickly. They won't be able to get it done in time. It does prompt a little bit of a look in there from Peace. Teleport from Appy. Well, it's costing them some utility.
And that's good. They forced the teleport. Again, you know, it may not seem like much, but it's like the 1%ers that...
Breaker from Halo gets him in deep, and maybe that's not where he wants to be. Shield is still available, but Maximum, that is going to be huge. Nectar dives deep. He's got everything on offer for himself. The back line, who cares about that right now? Haymaker in, way surviving just about. It's not the same case for Peace. Certainly not. Appy walks away from the rest of his team. They're all dead. They're all in the coffins, and that is exactly what Mammoth have been looking for. They've been very patient, Juves, but they finally found what they needed.
And we've just slept on Nectar all game. The conversation's been around Goodo, been around Wei, and the Mega Nart to a T there finds 3 or 4 members into the wall as we get the replay, because we don't need to see them doing the Baron, right? Starts off with Halo, you know, overreaching. We had questions about this set pick. You know, how confident is he? Nectar, 3-man slam into the wall. Both carries coming out of Peace, and Violet doesn't get to play the fight. It's just a permanent disengage. Wei follows up completely. Well played on the Lucian. Even makes it out on the back end, and Frost is untouched. You cannot leave a Cogmore untouched at this point in the game, and Mammoth almost the 10k gold lead.
Yeah, he's still got barrier in the back pocket as well.
And he flashed forward. Like, that's when you know. That's when you know the game is in dire straits. The Cogmore's flashing forward and not backwards, right? You know, you want to see the Cogmore flashing back because at least maybe it's winnable. But flashing forward generally means you're on the back foot in that team fight.
Yeah, he's gone full damage as well. He hasn't gone for the Wit Sand. He hasn't gone for the Randuin's Omen, something that we occasionally do see coming through for Cogmores these days. But full damage, full crit, get everything done. Absolutely blast them away. The best defense is a good offense as far as Frost is concerned. And that seems to be a reasonable decision when you've got a Lulu behind you. You've got a heal and a barrier that are both going to be dedicated to keeping you alive.
Well,
don't necessarily need it.
That's
all
the
that
thing,
extra tanky stats.
I feel like you can overcap on it, Elfish. You can overcap on like how safe you think you need to be, how tanky. Oh.
Well, nothing really coming from this one. But I know what you're saying. You definitely don't need to have everything put in there. You're potentially leaving a bit of damage on the table if you're going over the top in that respect. It's good to see. I mean, and it also means that Frost just sort of backs himself. You know, he thinks, okay, I've got the mechanics, I've got the positioning to be able to take this fight to Peace. Even despite the fact that Peace have, you know, so much crowd control, they have some decent gap close, they've got the equalizer as well, which is generally one big problem for AD carries, especially immobile ones like Cogmore.
Now that's why they're phased out of the meta, right? You know, they're usually phased out of the meta and a little bit of an engage.
Yeah, but it's onto Nectar, yeah. So I don't think that's ideal for Peace at all. Halo, again, just has to try and wander away. And one of the big problems with Set is that once you're in, it's very difficult to get back out. You know, he's supposed to be going forward, going forward, going forward. He can chase well, he can catch them, but he can't run away.
Yeah, and you just want to win the team fight. You want to win the team fight by being durable. You know, win the team fight before you fall down, I guess. And even if you do fall down, you're happy because you're probably done as they fight into a choke.
Yeah, right into the equalizer, but again, what can they really do with that piece? It's a little bit of damage, a little bit of chip damage, but even Halo coming in from the side, he feels a little bit too squishy at the moment. It's kind of what you're saying, like, you, as a set, you want to get in there, you want to make that fight happen, you want to win it. You don't want to have to go, oh, I'm on half HP, I've used Haymaker, I have no shield, I'm going to have to start backing out because against a Lulu Cogmore with all those slows involved, and potentially, you know, all the other ones coming through from the likes of Nectar and maybe Goodo with a bit of CC in there as well, you're probably not getting back out of that one. Cogmore just going to be able to chunk damage through. He's got such long range. He's got so much damage at this point in time as well.
Well, at this point in the game, there's no tank. A tank, the concept of a tank doesn't exist, right? In terms of when you look at the itemization coming through from Cogmore, you look at the itemization even on the Lucian with the Black Fever being picked up as a third item. And tank stats don't really mean too much, especially when you consider the shred that comes out of Cogmore W. So, you know, you have to win through almost out DPSing in a sense, right? You're getting the access onto Frost, making him kite back to a point where he's not doing the damage. But when you have the Guardian Angel as well as the Lulu, you almost just stand still. It sounds funny to say because you don't want to be doing it on Equalizer, but there's the later the game goes, there's less mechanics required in a sense. You just put the W down, have enough sustain, have enough healing, have enough stats to just pump out and shred as much as you can. But the thing I wanted to talk about was Mammoth as a team, in terms of, it feels night and day from what we've seen the first 4 games to now. Because they're not winning through a scrappy game. It's not like they're getting a kill here, getting a kill there, and resetting, and it's just chaotic. It's very clean side lane play. Way's collecting side lanes, not getting caught. Nectar's collecting side lanes, not getting caught. And when it's suited, when they're ready, they're coming to a group, they're coming to an objective, and they're team fighting, and they're beating Peace at their own game.
Slowed down a little bit for Mammoth in the last couple of minutes. You can see how tentative Peace is in terms of looking for engages. They know they're up against the ropes. Mammoth working as a unit, clearing all of the vision. Dragon going to be up in 25 seconds, so really a good time to be doing so. Nice pink ward in the forward bush for Mammoth as well. It's always a really nice one to have there. Provides you a lot of security. You feel really safe when you've got that ward down and you're taking the dragon. I don't know that there's a way in here for Peace. Like, you have to walk in through a choke against a Diana and a Gnar. They're just going to give it, and that's fair enough. I mean, this is literally soul for Mammoth, but how can you contest this if you're Peace?
There's no way. They need to be in their first right. You have the likes of the Nautilus, the Rumble. You want them to be walking in through the choke, right? You reverse, I guess, sides. Where Mammoth were is where Peace want to be, right? You know, having them funnel in through the choke. Maybe they'll use Baron to do that. They're going to get in there early. We see Nautilus, Aladoric on the Nautilus walking in for early vision. And, you know, if Mammoth are face checking, might be a little bit tough for them. You know, especially if Gnar's not there, but he has groups in the mid lane.
The wave clear going on in the top lane. Peace at this point are really just hoping for a mistake, I think, from Mammoth. If Mammoth plays this one out 100%, there isn't that much of a recourse for Peace. So it's all about finding mistakes. And granted, there always will be mistakes. But can Peace capitalize on them or not? Well, at the moment, it doesn't seem that way. And Violet kind of isolated in mid.
Nice ping. They actually know where they are, right? See the question mark pings?
Yep.
They've kind of sniffed them out a little bit there. So very good heads-up play from Mammoth. I love to see that. That ward, though, that pink ward's criminal.
Indeed, does need to be sitting right in the middle of the pit to be covering it all. Still, Mammoth might be happy to take a fight here. There's a big flank coming through from Appy, and Violet actually dives deep. That's not looking too crash hot, actually, for Mammoth. Violet completely uncontested on the back line. HP is so low across the board. It's a very messy team fight from Mammoth, but they might just still find a way to win. The power of the advantages that they had. Frost's doing a lot of work, gets a double kill.
Way, still here, looking for Appy.
I'm not sure he's going to be able to find too much here in the end. Appy does get the one. How many more can he find? Way is looking fairly healthy. Teleport coming back on through. Frost's is low. The stun connects. Appy, what's going on here? This could be a little bit of something interesting. Does have to skedaddle his way out of there and will just be working his way through the tri-bush. Chased down by Way, who does have Cyrilla's Grudge, by the way. That's why Babip is so slow. Or rather, it was Appy, I should say, so slow.
And that's going to be a Baron buff that goes over to Mammoth. And if I'm being brutally honest here, Elfish, I think Mammoth couldn't have played that team fight any worse. Or Peace couldn't have played that team fight any better, right? Equalizer comes down as they're on the Baron buff. They kite separate ways. There's 2 or 3 different skirmishes happening in a composition where Mammoth want to front to back, and they were still able to come out ahead, right? Like, look at this. Frost kites up one way. It's a Cogmore just peeling for himself, self-isolated, all good. JA pops.
Oh, hold that thought for a second, because we're right back into the Baron pit. Halo surviving. Getting a bit of a helping hand, perhaps from the Baron, is Mammoth, because unfortunately for Halo, he was tanking all of that one up. Nectar doesn't have Mega available. Way has to go golden, and it's Good-O again with a fantastic Diana ultimate. It's not enough to keep him alive. Shinky has gone golden. Why? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Way survived.
Shinky, what are you doing, man?
I think he might have thought he had Shirelia's on a different key.
It was either Shirelia's or a ward. I'm not sure which one it was, but the result is all but the same. Mammoth are going to pick the Baron up this time around, and there's so much to break down. I don't know which team fight to dissect, Elfish. Lucian, way on this Lucian. 4.3k damage.
30 HP.
Yep. Nautilus Riptide would have stole that one. And I mean, there's so much to break down that I don't even know where this Lucian damage has come from. Like, what team fight is it? Because there was like 3 or 4. I assume it was the one where they chased down Appy and the culling and then killed him and then reset and...
I'm pretty sure it would have been that last one. I actually know the guy who made the API for this, and he was telling me how it all worked out. I think it's a 70-second window, if I'm not incorrect. I think it's 40 seconds of the fight, and then maybe 10 seconds on either side, or 15 seconds on either side, like before and after the fight starts. And a quote-unquote fight, is X amount of kills in a certain amount of time. I think it was like 4 or 5 kills in a certain amount of time. I'm sure we can get the exact statistics coming through, but yeah, it's something like that. It's something to do with that. So it would be one of the most recent fights.
Yeah, and we just saw the replay on the back end here, and Appy, I thought maybe saved the day. Yeah, and we're seeing... Oh, I'll just stop myself again because Halo seems to be in a little bit of trouble.
He'll be walking out okay for now.
It is.
Well, blue buff picked up.
And it is important to take stock of how close the last fight was, and the summoner spells that are available on both sides. And there's none across the board.
Oh, that's pretty cheeky from Wei.
Yeah. So there's no summoner spells available across the board, but you have to say that would suit Peace more, in the sense that you're up against a Kog'Maw, you're up against a Diana, you're up against the DPS threats that have no mobility. Especially when you pair that against the Rumble and the Nautilus and the Kai'Sa. If there's a team fight that you're banking on winning, this will be it for Peace. They really need to fight on the summoner spells being down, because last fight was pretty close. Elder Dragon just about to spawn, so this is where the game really is going to come to an end. Which team's able to pick this one up or win the in-swing fight?
Yeah, you could just as easily see that flip come through from Peace, couldn't you? Had a well-played team fight around Baron. They didn't win it. This is getting a little bit egregious now. Wei, another culling. That's what happens when you have the triple Cloud Drake. He's able to do that on a 40-second cooldown. Recontest in. Equalizer looks pretty good. Frost is caught up solo. That's not great at all for Mammoth. Wei cops the wild growth in the backline to survive against Appy. And Kudo's gone deep. It's a fight on 2 fronts right now. Can see Appy surviving as best he can. And Kudo maybe doing as best he can as well up on the top side of the map. I mean, what on earth is going on here? This is a skirmish all over the place. Halo with the Haymaker. Now it's put into bed with Babip, and now Wei is in all sorts of trouble. I think it's getting a little bit messy towards the end stages here.
Yeah, we gave Mammoth a compliment, said how cleanly they've been playing this game out, and they've really just turned this one into a dog's breakfast. It's just turned into whatever we can put in the bowl, we'll throw it in, huh? And you know, it's probably fitting because is it a Pugmore skin?
Yeah.
Teleport comes through. This might be Elder Drake to the side of Peace. We're seeing disengage pings or back pings from Mammoth. They just do not have the members alive to contest this one. And I talk about this all the time. You have to be disciplined when you get souls, because if the game devolves into a little bit of chaos and you do happen just to lose that one team fight, like this is the first team fight that they've lost all game. And what did they lose for it? They lose Elder. And you best believe Peace are going to turret dive on this. They're going to reset, push down mid, and just dive and try win the game on the duration of this Elder. Now, what scares me is Violet's full build.
Violet is a very, very scary player. You know, the scoreline 4-6-6. I don't feel like we've seen peak Violet just yet. But we had flashes of it. You know, the dive deep in that Baron fight where he just ulted across the entire team, got into the back line and was kind of wailing away. He had a pretty much uncontested fight there for 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
And just didn't quite have enough damage, you know what I mean? Like he was a little bit too far behind and couldn't put that damage out, but maybe there is a world where he can get another fight like that and blow up some key targets.
Well, we haven't seen peak Violet because we've seen peak Kudo. Every single fight, he's ensured Violet can't play the game. You just see the Diana ultimate coming down on Violet every single time. And you know, at this point, with these items, it's just a little bit too hard to play the game. Now, what do Peace try and do here? Are they going to go for the end? You know, do they have the duration to push for the end?
Well, just having a look at the Elder Drake, I suppose it's probably about halfway gone already.
Yeah. Look at the turrets falling.
Will be more than enough to get at least one inhib. I'm not sure they'll get two because both of those waves, and in fact, all of the lane turrets in top and bot are still alive. So they can't get more than just that one inhib unless they were to decide to try to go for the end. But that feels a little bit ambitious.
I mean, if you're Mammoth, and considering what transpired, you're pretty happy with that, right? You're happy if all you lose is an inhibitor, and the Elder Drake's going to time out. I mean, you take that every day of the week because again, when you look at the composition from Mammoth, you can't really get outscaled. It would be a fairly controversial statement to say the Lulu, Kog'Maw, Diana, Lucian composition's getting outscaled, but you know, it's just coming down to execution and experience in those late game team fights. They just need to keep their heads and just play a traditional front to back. I mean, it's at a point in which, in terms of numbers, you're just going to win every single day of the week, but you can't have 2 or 3 fights break out at once, right? That's not where your composition thrives, because then Kai'Sa gets backline access, Rumble gets backline access, Diego has had backline access most of those fights.
Ooh, this could be interesting. Peace know that Baron's coming up shortly. They're going to set themselves up. Halo can't find anything. It was a nice whimsy, but he still does at least get a lockdown. And the showstopper right on top of Frost, who again is isolated. Appy has turned into a Diana. He's able to chase Frost down. Shinky is there. Guardian Angel on offer for Frost, but how much does that really help? Peace are in the base right now. Mammoth have to get this ADC and support back in to try and defend the Nexus towers. I'm not sure they're going to be there in time, Juves.
Might be game.
Frost starting to run in quickly, dodges the hook. Maybe still a chance here. Babbitt puts some damage through. Nectar trying to tank as best as possible, but he is not mega, and now it's Frost solo. Peace have done it against all the odds. It looked like Mammoth was going to pull it off. It looked like Mammoth was going to do a gravitas, but they couldn't get it done, and in the end, Peace will survive. They're going to be shaking their heads after that one, though. That was a rough game for Peace, but at the end of the day, you know, they get the win on the board, and I suppose that's what matters.
Can I be brutally honest?
Button flip.
Yes, of course you can.
That's a robbery. I don't care. Like, I understand Mammoth obviously played poorly to lose that game, and Peace played well, but that's a robbery. In terms of draft, in terms of composition, I mean, to lose from that position, it's a positive in the sense that Mammoth have played a lot better than previous games, but and then Peace are going to be obviously disappointed with that win. But you know, it was a banger. It was something that was exciting, and honestly, it's not a game that I was expecting. So in terms of a spectacle, it was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, we'll see what Mac thinks about it as well. I wonder what things would have actually looked like if Peace actually did lose that game. You know, I mean, they would have been 2 series in a row against the quote-unquote 2 weakest teams in the region. Although, I mean, obviously Legacy's in there at 0-4 at the moment, so I'm not sure it's fair to say that to at least Gravitas. But what does that do to the mentality of Peace?
Well, I think this is what happens when you take teams for granted. You allow them to get some OP picks, which is what we've heard from a few pros out there, especially in regards to the Lulu, and we finally got to see some of that power, although I feel like it was more just Goodo. His read on everything that was happening and his positioning every single time we was there for the counter gank just made that early and mid game for Mammoth look so damn good. And then I think the turning point, which then managed to throw it back, was at this specific point when you started talking about the dog's breakfast. And that was when Mammoth maybe got a little bit too big for their boots, overextended, split up, things didn't go their way. Losing that Elder pretty much lost them the game from there as well. So Peace knew exactly what they needed to do to win the game. The win condition was just, you know, stay alive, don't screw up until Mammoth put a foot wrong, and then Mammoth finally put that foot wrong. But until then, Mammoth did play a very good game.
I mean, Mammoth played a game to where I couldn't really make any complaints.
Yeah.
It was clean. It was slow. It was methodical. They were checking all the boxes. You know, they got the soul as well. And you thought, okay, they're just going to check all the boxes. They're going to keep checking them right up until this Elder spawns. But this Baron buff was just their ultimate demise, right? Like, it's just the ensuing skirmishes, like ones that people had enough time to die, respawn. And at this point in the game, look at Frost. How much damage he's doing. And if they just played a front to back, I mean, Peace, again, credit to them, veteran heads to be able to win that one. But your heart has to break for Mammoth.
Yeah, well,
they lost up gold.
Yeah, that's it. Look at this now. You got 78.9k to 76.4k. but they had a 10k gold lead before that awkward fight in the red base. And it was... I just hadn't seen that. I haven't seen Peace be down 10k gold, I think, in any single game over both these splits so far. So all I need to say is I thought that the first 2 weeks delivered for the DoorDash LCO, but now we've got week 3 already off to a cracker of a start, and that's just game 1 of the day. So, Jordan, I don't know. Where do we go from here, honestly?
I mean, this makes me look forward to finals, you know? We had such a great finals last split. And it already sort of feels like we're getting some of those caliber games in the regular split. One thing I want to say there, 34k damage coming through from Wei. He's on the Lucian, and just about the same coming through from the Kog'Maw. Got to give a bit of credit there to Wei. He was putting the damage numbers up. Obviously, doesn't end up working out for Gravitas. There was definitely some good signs for Mammoth, I should say. A lot of good signs for Mammoth, but unfortunately, just still 0-5. So it's got to be a bit of a stinger, unfortunately.
Well, let's have a chat with Nat as well and see exactly what her thoughts were on the game. Nat, what are your thoughts on that one, and who do you have down on the sidelines?
Honestly, it was a really great game to watch, I'm not going to lie. I thought Mammoth had it for a while there. I thought, like, this is it. This is the day they showed up. Yeah. But Peace were like, false confidence, we're gonna win this one out. So I do have Babip joining me down here for the post-game interview. Thank you so much for joining me. I want to ask, first of all, how did you guys keep your calm during that game? Because it was a really big back and forth for a long time.
I guess, we weren't really that calm, to be honest. We were pretty much like, this game is going to be quite hard to win now after the early game. So we pretty much just knew there was like one way we could win, and we had to do that. Like just some miracle team fight without diving comp. Yeah, that was pretty much it. We weren't that calm, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe not calm, but somehow you guys kept your heads in the game, which is pretty impressive. I want to go back all the way to the draft. Did it play out how you were expecting, or were there a few surprises there?
I wouldn't say there was many surprises. I would say that, like, we kind of trolled by not banning Lucian. But no, there weren't many surprises. We were super, like, confident and comfortable in this comp. But yeah, we just need to make sure we actually play it properly.
When you talked about, like your win condition for this game, what was it like? What was running through your minds to be like, we can still win this game, we can still pull it back?
I would say just like whenever we forced like summoner spells on like carries, we would just say like we pretty much just had to play like still trying to fight like all the time, because obviously they have like a comp that outscales like quite dramatically. So we're just like, okay, we still have to just fight, and we still have to just play like a fighting style, otherwise it's just only going to get worse.
Who was making those calls for the fights? Like, how are you picking which ones to hard engage on and which ones to just try and bait out?
Well, seeing as like our main engage tools was like Nautilus, Ali, and Halo on set, they were pretty much just coming like trying to find like angles and stuff like that. So I think they actually did a good job of trying to be creative and finding the engages that we needed.
And what's going to be your big takeaway from this game that you guys are going to really be focusing on?
I'm not sure. Like, I feel like the game of League of Legends right now is just, it's quite winnable, even if like you're the underdog or something. Like, I feel like the game has just been sort of figured out to the point where like your individual skill is like not ever going to be enough. So like teamwork and stuff is like super important. So I just think that like in a comp like this where we get outscaled again, like I feel like we've played this before against Pentanet as well. It's like we just need to make sure that we're very like disciplined and like we can actually just snowball the game and then close it out. Because right now we just kind of just keep throwing after having leads. We just keep throwing. So we just have to be more like decisive and yeah, like disciplined gameplay.
I look forward to some of those changes coming on throughout the split, but congratulations on the win, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.
Well, it was good to see that was at least a very humble interview, and Babip was aware that things did not go as planned and that They believed that it was going to be very hard to get back into the game, and fortunately for them, they did, and Peace managed to get another win on the board. But that will take us one step closer to everyone's favourite segment, the DoorDash player that delivered. Now, before we announce who it is, do we have any thoughts on who should be getting it? Jubes, I'll start with you and we'll go down the desk.
But I know who got it.
Yeah. All right, well, who doesn't know who got it, or do we all know?
I think we all know.
I don't know who got it.
You know who got it? Okay, Nat, who do you think got it?
I feel like Godo got it just because of how much Juice was hyping him up.
Well, Nat, you're bloody correct. Goodo was the DoorDash player that delivered it, and he will be taking himself home a $100 DoorDash voucher to get himself fed, because he certainly delivered the goods in the early to mid game. We did have a discussion, of course. Didn't go as well for him in that late game, but boy, he was certainly a bit of a game changer early on.
If I may give honourable mention.
Yep.
Honourable mention to Appy. I think he really brought Peace back into the game and ultimately won them the game. So I think he could have look, if we had a DoorDash driver who could deliver to 2, then sure. But we don't. Okay?
Well,
we've only got to deliver to 1.
Maybe we can make that happen at some point. But for now, what we need to make happen is we need to go to a break, because there's a second game to get to. That one was a very long one, and it's going to be Pentanet taking on Order for game 2 of the day, and I think this one's going to deliver as well.
Still going to be really difficult to deal with, especially when paired with that Lulu. So we've got another 3-man contest down in bot, but look who's here. Goodo is back, and a fantastic ultimate right down on top of all 3. That is massive. Mammoth turn it back on its head once again, and getting a bit of a helping hand perhaps from the Baron is Mammoth, because unfortunately for Halo, he was tanking all of that one up next.